swatching out the new mattes from Laura, which is super exciting. There aren't all that many, and this camera's out of focus. Okay. All right, there we go. That's better. And we are very limited in white swatch cards because I haven't cut any more. And so we're not going to swatch all the paints I got yesterday. We're only going to do the mattes. And so I want to say that all of these are new. Solstice might not be. Solstice and Sepia are less new. But the other stuff is quite new. Blue Raspberry was a color, but it's been reformulated. So Solstice is contaminated because my brush had green in it. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the chat as I get green out of yellow. Honestly, I should have just swatched. So this is PY, oh, it's Hansa Yellow Light, which is a yellow that I quite like. I've got it from, this still has a little bit of green in it. So this is Solstice. Then we have the color that I'm probably most excited for because it's Carmine Genuine. Laura and I spent a very long time. I do use a lot of fountain pens in my artwork and fountain pen inks in my artwork. So this pen, the rainbow one, is always inked up with Sailor Kirigero Permanent Black. And it has replaced my mild liners in my studio. So the only one I still use is a 1.2. Other than that, I've replaced my mild liners with permanent black ink. And then I will often use that black ink in pieces, but I've also used inks as the background of watercolor pieces if I just sort of want to do something easy. Or I've done entire pieces that look like they're watercolors but just in ink. It sort of depends on the day and how I feel and what I feel like doing. I don't have one of the ink pieces next to my desk though, because I just did a tidy up of pieces. There's some on Instagram though. And there's a Paint Your Style from a few weeks ago that I did the background in inks. I believe it's called Blooming Tree or something like that, where the entire background was ink, and then I layered watercolor on top. So this pigment is Carmine Genuine, which Laura and I have been talking about for a long time. And then, who released it as a paint this year? Not Snellier. Schminke. Schminke released it. It was part of their retro collection. And then the pigment was suddenly available from people again, and so Laura bought some. And I saw Amber's swatch of it this morning. and it is so much fun. In Paint Your Style, I actually used a color that I hadn't swatched yet, but I'd seen on Amber's story, and that was enough to tell me that I wanted to use it in this week's Paint Your Style. So it is a very red, and I'm quite excited to have it in my palette. It's sort of one of those like more obscure pigments that I never thought I'd have. It's NR1, so it's one of those natural red pigments. And I'm quite excited that I get to sort of try it out. Much like Yinmin and Yintico and Manganese Blue Genuine, it's one of those things that, oh, and PR88. They're things that I genuinely like to play with, but might not always use in pieces. There we go. Now we have the color that I used in Paint Your Style today, which I absolutely love. I've now used it in a piece, and I've seen Amber swatch it. It is so pretty. Yeah, so I don't have, I believe there was an original version of Blue Raspberry. This is not that. The original version was much more pink, but Laura's tweaked it a bit, and it's now much more like purple and moody, and it's super fun. And it granulates in a really fun way. I have to say, these days, Laura's doing some really fun granulating colors. They are really pretty colors. So these round out, or not round out, these are, I believe I now own every single matte that Laura's done and has. There might be one or two that I'm missing, but I have pretty much her entire collection. And some test stuff that never got released. So it does make for a pretty fun palette of being able to pull some unique stuff. But Blue Raspberry is probably my new favorite purple. And as this dries, you're going to see the purple settle out more and the blue settle out more. You can start to see it pooling in different ways. And honestly, that's my favorite part about granulating colors, is watching the separation happen. It's always so pretty. And the more water you use, the more impressive that separation is going to be. So next up is Blueberry, which is the newest gray to the lineup. About once, I'm gonna say like once every 6 months, Laura and I decide to create a new gray. I go on a mixing streak of trying to create a new gray. Laura does the same thing. We talk a whole bunch. We come up with a gray we like. This time, the gray we love the most is an absolute pain to reactivate, but was exactly what I wanted. The thing with all the grays we've added to the shop is it's always whatever I'm looking for in a gray at that time. So Little Bat, Blue Granite, Pebble, and in this case Blueberry were all what I was looking for in a gray at the time, which is one of my favorite parts about this working partnership with Laura, is that she is able to take the madness of my brain and turn it into an actual product. The issue with blueberry is that it contains cobalt violet pale. And if you're an artist, you will know that cobalt violet pale can be an absolute pain to reactivate. So it is quite pretty, but I've probably let this sit. It's probably had 15 minutes to sit with water on it, which is far longer than I ever leave anything in my palette. But if you leave it and just give it time, it's absolutely stunning. And you get so much fun texture. It's a very light, moody gray. If you don't leave it, you're going to get sort of this light purple, but you're never going to get that dark color. But it is a really fun gray. I believe it's in the shop currently. The thing with the gray, or the runs of grays that Laura and I do, is that they tend to be pretty short, and it tends to be a bit before they loop around again. So I believe Little Bat is currently in the shop as well, but I don't know that Pebble or Blue Granite are in the shop. And also with our runs of grays, you never know if we're gonna re-release them. Because whenever we do a gray, it's always because I have created, or I've been working on a project and needed something different in a gray. And Laura and I have then brainstormed. So if you see a gray you like in the Cozmick Creations shop, just snag it, is my advice. There we go, and we've got one color left, which is Sepia, which has been out, I want to say it's the fall, but is very pretty. Laura's been using it for monochrome pieces. So there we go. All right, let's take a quick look at Blue Raspberry washed out. So I think even with even more water, it'll look more fun. Do I have a scrap piece? I do have a scrap piece. I have a piece I spilled water on. Fantastic. Oh, that's fun. So what's this? This is Blue Raspberry. This is blueberry. And you can already see how it's like sinking into the heavier pockets of the paper where there's more texture. Honestly, I think these are going to be the two most used colors, which isn't surprising. I tend to use her granulation colors the most. Just because they're fun. I genuinely enjoy using granulating colors because they're fun. And so I'm very happy to have the newest ones. And it's also always fun to see something that you created. I think at this point, Laura and I have created probably over 24 mats together. And I've named probably 150 of the shimmers in the shop. So we've been working together for a very long time. So it's always fun to use a color that you had a hand in creating, and I'm very excited to start painting with blueberry. Just like watching. Oh, that is an excellent question. Let me grab something that will explain it really well. So I have an entire series where I talk about the super granulating colors from Schmincke, which are a paint set. But granulating colors are colors that separate into 2 or more pigments. So of course I can't find what I'm looking for right now because that would be too easy. Oh, this is a good example. So these are blueberry and raspberry are both examples of granulating colors where you've got sort of pockets of a different color. But these are the white nice granulating colors, and so Scarlet Mist separates out when you put it onto a textured paper, and you have this pocket where you've got the dark orange or the mid orange, and then you've got the pocket of brown. And every color in that set does it. Like, blue shadow. So you've got a lighter pigment with smaller particles that settles down, and you've got the smaller pigments settle down and the larger pigments sit on top. So different pigment size gives you different separation, and depending on how many pigments are part of the mix is like how much variation you're going to get. Yeah, but they're fun to paint with. So this is today's Paint Your Style. And the sky looks as fun as it does because all of the colors I used granulate. And it gives you that really fun, moody texture. And in the original, you had a whole bunch of clouds. And the mountains were all really textured in purple with a whole bunch of colors. And so what I did was I just chose granulating colors that I really liked. And actually the mountains are all one granulating color. But it looks different because of how the pigment settles out. So I tend to say that granulating colors are the easiest way to cheat a really detailed painting because they can make something look really complicated and really amazing with not all that much effort on the artist part while still creating something that looks really pretty. So if you want to learn more about them, I have an entire series where I mixed for the Schmincke Super Granulating color set, which has 50 colors currently in it. And I worked my way through mixing for all 50 colors myself, because if you purchase the entire range, I think it's something like $800 or $900. And I wanted to see if I could make them myself. With mostly colors I already owned, I only had to purchase a few. So it is a super fun series, but I've also done a couple other mixing series, like this White Nights one, where, oh yeah, those are the same. One side is DIY and one side is the palette set, and I mixed the DIY side only from a photo. I had a photo and I had the list of pigment numbers, but I didn't actually have the paints, and I tried to see if I could create mixes just based on pigment numbers in a picture. And honestly, I'm not unhappy with it. And in some cases, I like my DIY version more than the actual version. So there have been some fun super granulating mixing videos that I've done, and granulating mixing videos. So hope you found that enjoyable. I'm going to have so much fun playing around with these new Cozmick Creations colors. There are going to be several more swatching videos. I have all of the new metallic colors, plus 2 palettes from Laura. The Summer Sunsets palette and the Neon palette that doesn't currently have a name. I have both of them to swatch as well, and so we're going to swatch those out later this week. But I hope you enjoyed seeing the new mattes. As always, there is a discount code non-affiliate for Laura's shop that's Cozmick15. So if you do purchase anything, feel free to snag an extra 15% off what you purchase without me getting a kickback. It's just, you guys get to save some money. So I hope you enjoyed.